Doing well. Had a great Friday and a great week. Coming to you a little late tonight. Been hanging out with the wife for our anniversary. Um, so just getting into talk a little bit about DR today, and kind of tell you what the recap was. So we look at DR as normal. We look at our range first, and really we only had about a 9 point range here, right? So immediately I was a little concerned about price action inside of DR. And so, um, I knew I'd be stopping trading around 12 because, again, of going out. And I also knew that, Jerome Powell was speaking on a panel around 11. So, wasn't a lot of time for DR to set up, and I really wasn't that comfortable with what would happen. And so, again, we had a 9 point setup, and we follow along with normally what happens with DR. Um, we end up with a confirmation, after 11, right? So after he started speaking, and then we retraced back up. Didn't quite make it to IDR low, right? So, my order would have been placed here. And I'll tell you what I did. I wasn't trusting, real money on this one. So I did do a sim trade. Did two sim trades. And so the first one was placed here. If you look at how it comes down, I'm sorry, placed here, this candle, and it got picked up, comes down, there's 5 points there. So took that off. Then price goes back up again. And, these wicks were vicious, right? So as he talked, you can kind of watch. I was watching him speak, and then I was watching the candles, and they would just wick up and down based on what he was saying. And Bernanke was also on the panel, and based on what he was saying, and there was another gentleman on the panel, which I don't know who he was, but Bernanke and Powell, those two were causing these wicks to happen, right? And so I did one trade, again, sim trade, did a second sim trade, got another 5 points. So I was like, well, okay, no biggie. Price drops all the way down. So if you took this trade, I mean, this was a legitimate 42.16 went down below 4,200 all the way down to 41.94. So what's that? 16, almost 20 points. So there's some movement here. But again, I just didn't feel that I didn't want to push myself and not trust it. So here's what I ended up doing. So once this all happens, price starts to come back up. I see this pretty big fair value gap form here, and literally all I did was come in and say, went to real money and said, all right, I'm just going to put an order in on this fair value gap. So when this huge candle came up, right, I put my order at the bottom of the fair value gap, okay, because I figure if it comes all the way back down, then it'll give me some room to maneuver. And so I come in, put an order here at the bottom, get picked up like 42.05, and then comes down, doesn't get the quick 5 points, goes back up again, and finally comes down, and it takes me to 4,200. So got out on this candle, and that was it. I was done. I was like, well, all right, guys, almost 12 o'clock. I got to go, right? So I shut it down for the rest of the day. I took some peaks in the afternoon. There was nothing that really interested me at all. And so, again, if you noticed, we just kind of had this consolidation really for the rest of the day. And so, if you weren't in this DR trade, there was really no other DR trade for you. If you didn't take this initial retrace, we never came back anywhere close to that. Okay, this was a nice ICT setup, and really, I'm looking. I said I don't really see any other like fair value gap setups. I'm sure there's some other things in here, some order blocks and some whatever else we use for ICT, but nothing that would have interested me. The fair value gap here that got closed out, but nothing that again, like I said, would really have made me really want to jump in anything else. So so excuse me. So for the week, I mean, really positive week. We had like I think one or two small losses, but we had a pretty good week as far as points go. Just kind of following the rules and sticking to the plan, and so we will continue to do that. And we'll start looking at the market again on Sunday for the Asian. Normally, not a lot of movement, not a lot of range in the Asian, so I just kind of look at it to see how prices start to set up for the rest of the other sessions. But we'll start looking at that around 7:30 or 8:30 on Sunday. But other than that, have a great weekend. Take some time, relax. Don't stare at the charts. Give yourself some grace and spend some time with your loved ones, and just relax a bit. The market will be there next week, so no need to stress about it. Okay. All right. Again, everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon.